butterfly came through and landed up on my windowsill. For me to gaze upon her beauty until I had my fill. Just when I thought she was too tired to flap her wings and fly, so suddenly she left and disappeared up into the sky. Happily in a tree I could see some small birds together, reminding me that we're free here to share this planet forever. You and me, we and them, him and her, they and them. No matter who you are, you're a shining star. Too many problems in this world. We're giving the children a legacy of violence is all they know. Too many reasons to love each other and embrace the joy it brings. We're ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And let me hear ya. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. The yellow moon is waxing curious images in my eye, making the clouds look like a turbulent ocean in the sky. I wish the news on TV made me feel the same way inside. Of the tribulation, abomination I cannot hide. Happily in a tree I could see some small birds together, a family that we be here to share this planet forever. You and me, we and them, him and her, they and them. No matter who you are, you're a shining star. Too many problems in this world. We're giving the children a legacy of violence is all they know. Too many reasons to love each other and embrace the joy it brings. We're ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Let me hear ya. La 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 la. La 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 la. Since upon my lips, let the chips fall as a butter mankind. People lie wait, but an obligate, congregate, suffocating as the pressure run high. In the belly of the beast, my first couple leaves, Middle East, greedily feast, let the river run dry. Too many problems in this world. We're giving the children a legacy of violence is all they know. Too many reasons to love each other and embrace the joy it brings. We're ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Let me hear ya. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la.
All right, thank you so much. And we get into our Beyond the Limits. That's right, our next program right here on Talk City 91.1 FM on this beautiful Wednesday with, of course, Roland, Stewart, and guests in studio.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Limits as usual. Today, my co-host, Mr. Sigler Jack. And today, we also have a very lovely lady. By her voice alone, she's known as the Voice of Carnival. We want to introduce Miss Gemma Jordan. Miss Gemma Jordan, welcome on behalf of Mr. Sigler Jack and myself. Welcome to Beyond the Limits.
Thank you very much for having me, and good afternoon to all your listeners.
Now, Miss Gemma, everybody would like to know, I'm sure, the person behind the voice. Now, everybody knows this voice for the Marsh Gras, for Panorama, Downtown Carnival, Kiddies Carnival, and the list goes on and on and on. So, Ms. Gemma, could you tell us a little about yourself, please.
A little about myself. I am a retired teacher. I was a teacher for 38 years. I taught at Forest Government School, then Belmont Junior Sec, but most of my teaching career was spent at Mova Laventil, which was a junior secondary, and then one of the schools in the pilot program when they changed the junior secondary schools to 5 years. So I stayed at Mova Laventil Secondary School for 30 years. I'm also involved in culture. I am the secretary and business manager of the Malik Folk Performing Company, a group. I have been a member there for 39 years, since 1986. Yeah. So I've been a member of Malik Folk Performing Company. I have been in the field of announcing for almost 40 years. I announce here in Trinidad. I have been out in New York for the past 20 years. I have been in Boston for the past 14 years. I have done Carnival in Montreal and in Hartford, Connecticut. I am a mother of one and what should I say, adopted mother of thousands, because I call all my students my children. And would you believe I'm still in touch with those who left me how many years ago? So I tell myself maybe I did something right as a teacher, that they still want to be in touch with me. But that sums up who I am. I love our culture. I love life. I was saying to Sigler just now, when people say, how are you? And I say, I am good. I mean it, because God has blessed me abundantly. I continue to do what I love to do, and I want to thank all the people who give me the opportunity to do what I love to do. Does that sum up who I am?
You left out, Gemma, you left out one very, very important thing, because I thought about it this morning. Gemma Jordan is the godmother. I don't want to say aunt. I prefer to use the godmother of many a young Calypsonian, now old Calypsonian in this country, including people like Marshall Montano, etc.
Right, Corrine Ashe, Devon Seal, Dwayne O'Connor, because I was a former member of the TUCO Junior Calypso Committee. I have been involved with Junior Calypso since 1986. So that's what, 40 years now?
That's about the year Marshall started. If I
Right.
remember.
He won in 84. Natasha won in 86. So even when I'm in New York, Natasha comes and hugs me up. Hi, Auntie Gemma, how are you doing? But I have been involved in Junior Calypso. My daughter used to sing Calypso, as a matter of fact. So she was NJAC's National Junior Calypso Queen in 1990. But I love the culture, so this is me.
You know, excuse me, when you mentioned that you taught at Forest Government School, that was my first primary school I attended. So I want to believe, unfortunately, she died. She was murdered, but most likely you would know Mrs. Heath or Miss Heath.
Oh, Janice Heath, listen to me.
She was my very first teacher.
Oh, when I went there, I met Janice. She loved teaching infants. I preferred the post-primary class, because I used to say, and I still maintain, infant teachers are born. They are not made. Because Janice loved those children, and she would not move from the infants. Yeah, it was so sad, because when I left there and I was teaching at Belmont and then to Mova, part of my route, I drove past her house every day, because I would go through Federation Park. And sometimes I would see her, because I had to go to school much earlier than she had to. And I would make sure I looked in her porch, and she would be there waving. So when I heard that she was murdered, oh my God, it touched me, because I said, this is a lady who had dedicated her life to teaching, and especially the young ones, where, you know, they say those formative years. And I said, for somebody to go into her house and murder her, that's one murder that touched me, you know. And even now when I drive across the street, I still look at her house, you know. I suppose it's habit. But Janice was really influential. When I got there, she told me, okay, Gemma, I know you're new, because straight from teacher training college, I went there, you know, and I met her, and she took me under her wings, and
Beautiful woman, beautiful woman.
Yes.
Because she was my first year teacher when I just entered
Yes.
Forest
Forest,
Woman School.
yes.
And then later on, I found out that she became the principal of the school.
Yes, Janice Heath.
Yeah, well, in terms of your early school life, I got to understand that you were also involved in girls' cricket. You want to tell us that?
Okay. At my school, Moval Aventil Secondary School, I had a girls' cricket team. Now, okay, I love cricket. I love NBA. So my family knew once cricket was going on, don't disturb me. Like just before coming here, unfortunately, the West Indies ladies lost to Australia. So I looked at that game and I'm looking at the time and saying, okay, you have to go by Roland. But I love cricket. So I had my girls' cricket team for 20 something years at Moval Aventil Secondary School. And we did quite well at one time, God rest his soul. I don't know if you're the name Francis Rivas. Was
Oh,
a
yes.
tiny Spanish looking gentleman who was very committed to the girls in cricket. So he had the Francis Rivas Girls Cricket League, which we won on several occasions, and also the Secondary Schools Cricket League. We won what you call the open category, and I actually was the second vice president of the National Secondary Schools Cricket League for a period of time. And one of my girls who started cricket with me in Moval Aventil Secondary School, I'm proud to say, is the Trinidadian umpire selected to officiate at the Ladies World Cup. So
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
Candice-
clap very much in there for
That's
everybody.
A live club.
Candice
Yes.
Laborde. So she left last week. So she will be officiating in the Ladies World Cup. I'm so proud of Candice. So, yeah, so I was involved in cricket, a game that I love.
Well, I mean, to say we have to say congratulations to you. I mean, after all of that, I mean, you have nurtured so many children, and seeing that we have somebody representing us
Yes.
on the World Cup level.
World Cup, the Ladies World Cup. I am so proud of Candice, and I have to congratulate her and her mother, because let me just divert a bit to say how important parental support is. Because when Candice played with me from Form 1 to Form 5, if there was one parent on whom I could count to be with me for every game, it was Candice's mother, Hannah. You know, Hannah would, if we were playing in the savannah, wherever, her mother was always there. And even to this day, Hannah is still there supporting Candice, and that parental support is so important. So I have to say congratulations to Candice and thanks to her mother, Hannah, for being there with her and giving her that support.
Because based on what you were saying now, when you look at the background of the teachers who have made it big, people like Marshall Montano and all these other people, they always have that strong parental support.
Definitely.
You know, Brian Lara, for instance. You know, I remember he said that his father used to take him, and then his big sister used to take him and that kind of thing. You know what I mean? So, based on what you're saying, you know, parental support is very important.
But even in Calypso, Corrine Ashley's mother, Carol, from the time I met Corrine, even before she started Calypso, in 1995, I was the chairperson for the children's activities for Carrie Fester. That was 6 in 1995. And a gentleman, Lord forgive me, you know when you have a nickname, it sticks with you? His nickname was Trouble. And Trouble brought Corrine to be part of the activities on my stage. And she sang the greatest love of all and Hero. And I said to Trouble, because Corrine might have been about 7 or 8, and I said, this girl has a lovely voice. Why don't you get her into Calypso? Because there are enough wannabe Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston. Unfortunately for Corrine, that same year, Sheldon Reed heard her and had the same sentiments that I had. He wrote for her, and as we see, the rest
Yes,
is
it's history.
But Carol's mother was always with, Corrine's mother, Carol, was always with her, giving her that support. So yes, it is important.
So you see how much you have influence. I mean, you may not be the kind of person who want to, you know, blow your own horn, you know what I mean? Say, But people like you and Mr. Sigler Jack here, I mean, the amount of time that you all have spent in culture and education and all of that, I mean, to say probably thousands of people that you are responsible for.
Yes, definitely.
You know, if not as you said, adopted parents, adopted mothers, adopted fathers, as the case may be. You know, now you're also involved in Best Village.
Oh, yes, I am a member of the Malik Folk Performing Company since 1986. Malik was formed in October 1979. So I can safely say, because I joined October 1986. So I would say October this year will be 40 years. I am in my beloved group. We have been involved in Best Village. We have the record of the only group to have won that competition 13 times. Right? And I do
Best Village? Village?
Yes,
Yeah.
And Best Village has been very good to us, right? And to me, yes, I mean, I have been on stage as a performer, and I say performer because in Malik Folk Performing Company, even though I joined as a singer, we had to all become performers. So when you were told you have to act, you have to do some movements. Hear me, I can't say dance because I didn't dance. I did the movements.
I was about to ask
you
you that if you were a dancer.
No, I did the movements, right? So it has been very good to us, and we have enjoyed participating in Best Village. And Best Village is near and dear to my heart. And this year I am grieving. Because right now the Best Village program is at a standstill.
Guys, sorry, let's just put a little pin in that just for now. We'll do the news. Yep, look at the news, and then we shall continue inside Beyond Limits here on Talk City.
The excitement of world football ignites with the final VAR. Victories, analysis, reviews, the goals, the calls, the experts are on the ball. The final VAR, live on Thursdays from 8:30 p.m. on TTT and TTT Live Online, starting June 11.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago and the world. I'm Vermala Balkaran. Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago today. Let's take a look at what's trending this morning.
Every morning in Trinidad and Tobago, a new conversation begins. And right here, we take that conversation further, speaking with the stakeholders and voices behind the stories. From news and lifestyle to culture, health and entertainment, we bring you the topics that matter most as you start your day. Join us weekdays, Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. Watch on TTT or join the conversation from anywhere on your smart device at TNT Today Show, Trinidad and Tobago Today, exclusively on TTT.
Bruh, you know, I have a bone to pick with you, eh? You still supporting that side, girl?
Obviously, it's only the day I die.
But you really think they could win our title again?
You do know we are the defending champions. We have a player that's going to have a fairy tale ending. You do know that we come with a lot of experience and a whole bunch of youngsters.
Yeah, but sentiments don't win your World Cups.
You know what? I'm not having this with you right now. I'll see you on the final VAR.
Catch all the action on the final VAR right here on TTT and TTT Live Online from 8:30 p.m. starting Thursday, 11 June 2026.
The excitement of world football ignites with the final VAR. Victories, analysis, reviews, the goals, the calls, the experts are on the ball. The final VAR, live on Thursdays from 8:30 p.m. on TTT and TTT Live Online, starting June 11.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago and the world. I'm Vermala Balkaran. Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago today. Let's take a look at what's trending this morning.
Every morning in Trinidad and Tobago, a new conversation begins. And right here, we take that conversation further, speaking with the stakeholders and voices behind the stories. From news and lifestyle to culture, health and entertainment, we bring you the topics that matter most as you start your day.
11 as well as 394-4911 if you want to get on board and chat with Roland and the special guests in studio today.
Hello and good afternoon to the public again. This is Beyond Limits and our host, Roland Stewart. I am here co-hosting with him today, and our special guest is Gemma Jordan. Gemma, I just want to say something to you as to how you got here today.
Okay.
The point is, the name of the program is Beyond Limits. And Roland looked for those people who went above and beyond. And in our conversation, because one of the things he interviewed me about was culture, in particular my involvement. And I spoke to him about Gemma Jordan and I working together. And I don't know how you're going to deal with this, but I would have said to Roland, Gemma Jordan is the best calypso judge in this country and the number one judge who I have ever worked with. You are the full package. You are beyond the limit.
Oh,
Nice.
thank you. That's a surprise, but it's a pleasant one. Thank you very much. But what made
Surprise,
you... What,
Gemma? Why should you be? Gemma, you
But
don't know.
if it was you that I told that, I think it would be Shabbat. But I remember telling somebody that he said so. You know what I mean? He said that that you were probably the only judge who almost consecutively, just how the final results came out for like Calypso competition, that you on many occasions, at least more than one, more than two occasions, had it down the same way in terms of the sequence.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So
And
he
it-
did say so. He did
And
say
that
so.
came to my attention. You remember when we were doing our preliminary judging, we had to go all over and go to Tobago.
yes. Yeah.
And that one, the first time I realized it or it happened, that I became aware of it. The final list, 1 to 12 was 1 to 12,
Yes,
1 to 12. Gemma had everybody in order 1 to 12.
She's that good. She's that good.
I don't know of anybody in Calypso judging who would have done that.
Oh, I remember that. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
How can I forget that? I don't forget
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, yeah.
Great,
I love Calypso. Ever since I was a child, I love Calypso. And I think because I also love the English, I love to talk. All right. So I would listen to it with a critical ear. Even before I started judging, I would be listening to it and analyzing it and whatever. So I grew up doing that. So when it was somebody, I can't remember who, said to me, why don't you come and judge? And I said, oh, okay. So I started judging in the 90s, somewhere there in the 90s. And I still do it because up to this year, I did the preliminaries of Extempo, the semi-finals of the Junior Calypso, and the preliminaries of Extempo. Because my involvement in Carnival, I balance between mass, pan, Calypso. So I always have to say when I am available for what. But I love Calypso. I still, even though I'm not judging, I would be listening to a Calypso and in my mind analyzing it.
I want to tell you another story. There was a time Tuco North Zone had asked me to coordinate their North Zone competition final because the different zones have their zonal monarchs. But North Zone had engaged me in getting involved as the coordinator of their program. I coordinated one with Karina Shea when she won the first time at Seaman and Waterfront.
Okay.
And the last one I coordinated was one we did in City Hall.
Yes, I remember
And
that.
I would normally pull my team together. Trust me, Gemma Jordan have to be on my team, one, because of her knowledgeability or consistency, and there is nobody I know writes comments like Gemma Jordan.
You have a blushing.
I want to tell you this. There are those of us who used to feed off of you as judges, you know. But we can't tell you that.
Well, you can tell me now.
I can tell you no, because I'm out of the loop. And your comments used to be so accurate, but I want to tell you what happened at City Hall that night. As the coordinator, when Calypsonians and their supporters want somebody throat to cut, they say the judges, but they go after the coordinator because they feel you are responsible for them being there. In other words, you are the chief judge. You're not judging, but you are the chief judge. When I was walking out that night, a certain Calypsonian had their supporters. I'm not going to say if it's male or female. And I, to my surprise, they bombarded me about a particular Calypsonian who they felt should have won. And they went to town on me. I mean, I had a dog back. They can't bother me. I ain't that all the time because I heard people say a lot of things. Some of them call me, they talk to me and ask me a lot of questions. But anyway, this one in particular, they were supporting a particular Calypsonian. And they came after me because that person didn't win. And I got a phone call, if not the following day, from the Calypsonian in question, or maybe a couple of days after. And I told that Calypsonian, what did they ask, what it is they did wrong and that, and they judge themselves. Every Calypsonian don't care what they sing. Even self is their thief my lunch and the pony rides out, they feel they won.
Yeah.
I said, look, do me a favor. Did you look at the comments? They told me yes. I said, did you examine Gemma Jordan's comments? They told me yes. I advised them to call you. And I think they did. Because the person called me back. Because that person called me in a huff and a puff, and I said, Lord, I have an enemy here for life. Now I hear from that person almost every day. I get a prayer from them. And that's years now. And they would have spoken to you. And when you broke it down for them, every step, every aspect of your comments, they called me and apologized to me.
Oh.
Because what you told them, based on what they said to me, you know, that everything was true. So they looked at themselves differently after that. I also told you something when you spoke about that. One of the hardest things to get away from. They talk about biasing or training.
Yes.
You should be.
Yeah.
You're a human being.
Yeah.
Biases are natural things. Whether it is deliberate or not, it is there. And to overcome that, and I'm jumping out myself my skin again, you know. I think Gemma went beyond biases.
No, but I remember that now that you're saying, because a particular Calypsonian said to me, you know, Gemma, I thought, well, back to culture, my involvement in this group and that person is in another group. You know, I thought you would have figured, well, you in Malik and I'm in a different group, and you would have marked me hard. I said, why? I said, that has absolutely nothing to do with it. I mark what is presented to me on stage at the time. And then that Calypsonian said to me, I read your comments, and the fact that you were able to tell me in the third verse, line number 5, whatever, I realized that you are one judge, you listen from beginning to end. And I said, but that's what we're supposed to do. And the person said, I see some judges from the time we sing the first verse, they start to write. And I said, well, if you're judging, because one of the things you judge is presentation. How would you know what the Calypsonian is presenting in terms of use of stage, body language, or if you're not looking at the person? So I try not to start to write. I mean, I will make a mental note of it. But out of respect for the artist, and this is what I say to people, that Calypsonian has put in how many hours, how many months of doing that work. You cannot disrespect them if after the first verse you decide, because as Sigler said, you have to be able to justify your comments. Your comments, and this is what we were told, your comments are designed to help the Calypsonian improve the performance, right? So you must give constructive criticism, but you must also point out the positives. It mustn't just be all the negatives. You must point out the positives. So even now when I judge Calypso, some people say, Gemma, you're still writing? I say, yeah, because you can't just write excellent. But if I write excellent, then it means you're getting anywhere between 90 and 100 because that's excellent. But I can't write excellent and then give you 78. It doesn't, what they say, the math's not mathsing. So as judges, we have to be very careful because our comments are designed to help the Calypsonian improve, and it must be consistent with the mark that you eventually give.
Most definitely.
Now, I understand that you're a certified judge. Now, for anybody who wants to be a judge, I mean, where do they have to go, and what are the kind of requirements to become a Calypso, even a pan, steel pan judge?
No, steel pan judge, let me be honest with you. I announce pan. I love pan.
But you don't judge
I
pan.
cannot. Not that I don't. I cannot. I know my ability. I cannot judge pan, but I can say that, you see, all those people who judge pan, I think all of them have reached up to grade 7, grade 8 in music and beyond. They are all highly qualified, right? Calypso, you still have to have a certain level of knowledge in terms of music. And you must have a command of the English language, because part of the judging, when you're looking at lyrics, you look at the use of language. So you must, that's a pun, or that's a simile.
Or a metaphor, or something.
Yes. And, okay, you give a little extra because of the use of language. So TUCO organizes training. Now, when I did my training, how many years ago, and I still do the refresher courses with TUCO. But when we did training, it was over a couple weekends. It wasn't just 1 day or 2 days. It might have been 4 weekends in a month or something like that, because you had very intensive training. So if you want to be a judge of Calypso, you have to at least get some knowledge of music, and also look out for when TUCO advertises that they want judges, and then you subject yourself to whatever training. And you can't depend on TUCO, your training only. You have to sharpen your skills, however, wherever, whenever.
Before you move on, well, my first training with TUCO was in 1996, but I did not get on a panel until 1998. And the first tent I went to was in South, and Dwayne O'Connor and this Kimlin...
Harrington.
Yes. I will never forget those two young artists when we went on, but I was an alternate. I remained an alternate for 2 years.
Yes.
And we had Myrtle
Myrtle
great
Bernard.
coordinators then.
Myrtle Bernard.
You know, those people were, I mean, I've never met coordinators like that since, Myrtle Bernard. Very strict. In other words, you don't get, and I told you something about that, about how it obtains at this time, where those coordinators, headed by Myrtle, marking you harder than, now the coordinators, I told you, they don't judge, but they are looking at what the judges are doing. But you see those people who are alternates, boy, they marking you harder than Google Beth. And they won't tell you anything. Well, they will make comments. But if after the first year, they call you on the main panel, you're doing something good.
Yes.
And they always like move out somebody. And even after the second year, you don't make the panel, you out. That's how it used. It's a be tough.
And then
to get on a panel.
It was not a matter of you do the training January and you're on a panel automatically. As Sigler said, you were an alternate. The year you did the training, you were an alternate. So you were there to observe from the experienced judges and gain whatever knowledge you could from them. And maybe the next year or two, you pray that you get on the panel. Now I see where people come. First time. They come, they do the training a day or two, a couple hours or two, and they're on a panel. And I'm saying, how come? Because when I did it, as I said, it wasn't just a day or two training. It was over a period of time. And you had to earn your place on a panel.
Roland, I remember I told you something that when I dropped out of this thing, I went to one of those weekend trainings, Saturday and Sunday, at Napa, and a whole bunch of UTT students came in, and there were plenty of experienced people in the room, and they're talking about Calypso and thing. And I said, what is going on here? Because their language as regards judging Calypso, right? And their background and the things they were saying had me wondering what these people really doing here. Are we seeing the same thing? Are we talking about the same culture and all that? But what would have happened? I went to a particular Calypso tent where they had done their selection. Because I think I told them that I didn't want to judge. But I went to the training. And when I showed up at this particular tent in Seaman and Waterfront, from that same panel of newbies, you have 7 judges. There are about 3 or 4 newbies sitting on the panel. I said, this is not how it is done. I mean, for your first time, you making that. But I also mentioned to you that it would look good on their CVs, it would good look in their, it was probably part of their university work and all that is well and good. But there are certain things you just don't change. You just don't sit down in a room and listen to somebody, a presenter telling you things, and you're ready to go. And
but then I always say they didn't put themselves there.
No, about to ask the question.
It's whoever makes the selections.
Well, that's the question I was coming with. Because it begs that question.
Yeah.
Who is the body or persons or whatever responsible for putting them there?
Right. And then you say we are a society which is paper-based. Your certificate. You have a certificate in this. But forgive me, you can have the certificate, whatever. Experience.
I always say that here.
Experience is important. I am not saying...
You remember I always say sometimes, out of respect, some people might have PhDs and whatever, but according to the field that you're dealing with, in my case, something with disability and PTSD, secondary Adamo service. Remember you always say, that sometimes, you know what I mean, it's come like you almost don't have anybody. Because some things are just practical.
Yes. Yeah.
One more thing I want to put to Gemma, and then you can take it from there. You know, we have what we call the 5 rules of Calypso.
Oh yes, fearless.
The general public need to know how do we apply these rules, because people keep changing it wrong. And remember the year when we had who doing lyrics, Calypso
Yes.
presentation? Not like that here. I'll be honest with you. I know a lot of people didn't like it.
When
But
you
I had
specialized in that area.
Yes. But the 5 rules are still there. I
Definitely.
want you, in your own way, to put it over to the general public so that they will get a good understanding of what we do when we sit on that panel judging
Okay, let me
Calypso.
just say that this year the score sheet was a bit different. It was condensed. Now we know that we judged lyrics, melody, presentation, rendition, and originality.
And originality.
Those were the 5, right, headings. But this year they condensed. So you had what? Lyrics, melody, and presentation. Now, personally, some of the subheadings, in my opinion, and this is my personal opinion, were not in under the correct heading. So like I find rendition should be by itself, but it fell under presentation. All right. But when you're looking at lyrics, again, you look at the topic. How is that theme developed? Now, I always say a calypso is almost like a good essay. You have an
is.
introduction, you have the body where you develop the theme,
You have the
and
end.
you have a conclusion.
Conclusion.
Your conclusion could be you summarize
Summarize.
everything, or you could offer solutions or whatever. So you look at lyrics and you look at the theme, how it is developed, how clear is it. You also look at the use of language, as I said, whether it's a pun, onomatopoeia, you know, like how Kitchener, Bee's melodies. Yes, where you hearing the bee.
Onomatopoeia.
And I love the one,
Yes, yes,
the
yes.
pan in the river. Pan in the
Oh,
dry
yes, I
river.
love that too.
And right. You look
I know
at
what you're talking about.
right. What you look at personification, where you actually give this object life.
Human qualities.
Right. So like, and you also have to know, to be a calypso judge, you have to know what is going on in society. Because when you look at gypsies, the ship is sinking. If you didn't know that he was talking about the political situation in the country, you would wonder, how are you coming to sing about a ship sinking? kind of
Uchok,
thing?
that says the driver can't drive and these kind of
you know.
things.
So you look at lyrics and you see how the topic and how it is treated, and you don't want it to be treated exactly how both of us could write a calypso, but you don't want us to have the exact same treatment. It could be the topic crime, but I look at it one way, you look at it a different way, right? So we look at the lyrics, the melody. You look at the chord progression, right? You also look at the suitability of the tempo, because okay, let us look at, let's say, Sparrow's Memories. Because you have to look at
Which is one of my favorite tunes.
right. So you look at the suitability of the melody and the tempo to the lyrics.
To the lyrics, of
Because
course.
that is a fairly sad calypso. You can't have it going down the road. So you look at the tempo, the mood, the music must set the mood of the calypso. Of course, rendition. You can go sharp, where you're above the note. You can go flat, you fall below the note, right? You're off pitch, the band in one key, you in a totally different key. So you look at rendition. How does that person sing, right? Your diction. Can we understand your words, right? Because it's fluke. What fluke is this?
Oh,
Adam and Eve used to suck mango, naked they come, naked they go. But
And Rex West used to make me laugh too, because
Yeah,
you
yeah,
could
yeah.
understand, right? But okay, so you look at rendition. Originality, as I just said, 3 of us could write on the same topic, crime. but how we treat it. Is it exactly as someone had treated it in the past? Or have I brought a whole new perspective to it? Right? So you look at originality. And I always say originality to me covers both the music and the treatment of the topic, because, well, now they have what, sampling, where you could take a couple bars from that went before. But you mustn't come with the whole melody of a tune that went before.
You get
Right?
showed with that.
Right, so that is not originality. Your lyrics can be original, your melody may not be, and vice versa. And of course, presentation, your face. You know, they say we Trinis, right now I'm doing it, we Trinis talk with our hands, our faces, and all of that. So the use of your gestures, your body language, the use of the stage, the use of props. Because if you bring props on, you must relate to your props. So your prop, you mustn't bring, let's say you're singing about Trinidad, you bring a map of Trinidad and Tobago, you place it behind you, you sing the entire calypso, and you never relate to that map, right? At some point in time, you turn your body, you point at something on the map, because your physical props are to enhance your presentation, your performance, not distract from it, right? So those are the things I look at when I'm judging calypso.
Over to you.
Anything else? You will, what I would say is, because how many different apart from that? Because I remember, so there was a method at one time, following culture, something we hear Calypsonians and then talked about it. And I know something in various judging competitions, something it is used. Something like where, let's say if you have 5 judges, you remove the highest mark and the lowest mark, hoping to achieve some kind of middle ground. What do you think about that? And if apart from that, if there were other forms of
you have that is what you call the high-low system. So you must have an odd number of judges. All right? So ideally, if you want to go with the high-low, you go with no less than 5. So when you take out the high, you take out the low, you still have 3.
The mean scores.
Right? Then, so that's one, the high-low. You have the aggregate, where you have 5 judges, you add all 5 scores, and whoever gets the highest score, that's how you place it. Right? Then you also have, like, you can go merit. So 3 of us are, let's say 5 of us are judging, and they say, okay, Roland, who do you have first? I have Richard first. Sigla, who do you have first? Okay, I have Richard. If 4 of us have Richard first, then based on merit, Richard is first. Who do you have second? Right? So each organization decides which method they're going to use, whether they're going to use merit, whether they're going to use the aggregate. Or the high-low system.
Now, before you move on there, the high-low system is the one that causes some of the most biases, because I could, as a judge, I don't know if I should even say this in public, I may not want you, because of some personal bias, and I give you 99. And when you look at my marks the man give me, I'm telling you, happy with that. You don't know that mark could have gone in there to make sure you get thrown out.
Yes. Yeah.
The same with the low scores.
And there are some judges who naturally mark high
Right.
and some naturally mark low. Right? Now, I remember, God rest his soul, Peter Pitts. When I got involved in Junior Calypso, Peter Pitts, he was a Sparrow fan. Peter said, Gemma, I start every Calypsonian with 100 marks. And he or she minuses as they go along. He says, so I start with 100. And you do so, I come down. You do so, I come down. Right? But Peter said he had a tendency to mark high fortunately, many times, as you said, Gil, many times they throw out my score and I realize, but nah, man. So, as Sigla said, you have to be careful. And then, again, because of bias, because I don't want my score thrown out now. So, even though he deserves 95, because I don't want them to throw out my score, I will give him 88. Because I'm sure somebody must give him 90, 91, and they will throw out that 90, 91, and my 88 will stay. So, there are a lot of things that are taken into consideration in terms when you're judging, all right? But my philosophy is you give the singer what he or she deserves. At the end of the day, if I feel you deserve 95, I give you 95. If it is thrown out, it's not my fault. I have given you what you deserve. And I like where Tuko now has, where every judge's score, because I laughed, every judge's score is up for scrutiny. Last year I did one of the adults, and when I looked, I saw my score on Facebook, because this particular Calypsonian, you can request your score. I think you must pay whatever. And she was saying, but look, this judge gave me this and this judge gave me that. And
I remember that.
So as judges, we have to know that our scores, our comments are under scrutiny, not only by the Calypsonian, because you can request for your score, but then you can pay Tuko and you get the master sheet where you see everybody's scores from every judge. So we as judges have to make up our minds that we are under the scrutiny of the public.
One more thing, Liv, as you talk about that whole scrutiny thing. And I tried through a former coordinator to get it done here. When I did a Monarch final in St. Martin, now the head judge is what we call the head coordinator here. She's a musicologist and everything. She's a cultural person like you. She's like the St. Martin version of you. Well, I worked with her up the islands in different places. And they bring for their Monarch final, they use same panel, but they use 2 judges from St. Martin, right? And they bring judges from the other islands, top judges. And when you finish, the competition is over. You sit down in a room and she sits there with you. And you have to justify your scores based on your comments. And then she goes, when she critical of you, when she give you another smile, trust me, you go, I got mine. But if she have a problem going down the road, and no results are announced or even handed to the Calypso organization until she finishes in that room, And we have a consensus coming out of there, But that might be a little difficult to operate here,
Not necessarily. I don't think so.
I think people would be more responsible if you go that way.
Well, I see now that there are plans, they are advocating, some people are advocating that as soon as the Calypsonian is finished singing, that you put up the scores. I do not know if you will put the judge's name. Right? But you may if you have 5 judges, you put up the scores, right? So that there's more transparency. So I don't know if that will be implemented here for Carnival 2027 or what, because what happens here, you judge, you pass up your sheet. I don't know what score you have given. You don't know what score I have given. We see the results. Once upon a time, you had to sign the final sheet.
Yes.
But I see sometimes it goes to the adjudication committee. Right? They put everything in the computer. They come out with the results. And then it's when the MC gets the results and is announcing it, then we as judges know what the final results are. You know, so.
Because I was just about to ask you about some of the do's and don'ts when it comes to judges now, because Kalai Bab, who both of you all know, was a very good friend of mine.
Good judge.
He was very serious, because sometimes he was a marshal at one time after he retired, being an old prison officer.
Yeah.
And before Carnival, you couldn't ask anything about what you think this Calypsonian will come, or what the other Calypsonian will place. They will tell, I do comment on that. I'm a judge, so I do comment and make those kind of comments.
Which is true. Because, Sigla, you remember, I think it was you, was it Steve Jelly? No, so we had come up with a code of conduct.
Yeah, we wrote a code of
judges,
conduct.
Right? So this year,
Yes,
I
yes.
pointed it out to them. I said, that code of conduct that you all are using, I said the original writers were so and so. And yes, they have expanded it. But there are some do's and don'ts. And one that you said, like when you go to the Calypso tent, I can go to the Calypso tent. It doesn't matter how good a friend you are to me. If you are a competitor, I am not to socialize with you. I will pass, hi, how are you going, Roland? And I have gone my way. Because perception becomes reality.
Yes.
If I only stand up and say, hey, Roland, so, another Calypsonian will look. Now, you might deserve your 99.
That'd be good for you.
Right?
Yeah, yes,
But
yes.
you see, she was talking to
She was
Roland.
talking to that
That's your friend. That's why. So
Well, no.
that's one of the don'ts. You do not fraternize with the Calypsonians, in spite of how close you all are. When you go to judge, you do not fraternize with them, right? You are not to leave the judging area without speaking with the coordinator. And then even if let's say North Zone competition, even if we know the results, no judge is to talk about those results until it is announced by the MC or whoever. After the competition, you can talk about the results. But there is a code of conduct for judges.
No. In terms of the musical arrangement of a calypso, just about two more questions before we wrap up. In terms of the musical piece of a calypso, I mean, how far do you all allow as judges people to deviate? Sometimes somebody might decide to mix or bring in a little piece. Like, for example, I remember this Calypsonian, what is his name by? Something Shack or whatever.
Who?
The guy, Mr. Shack, that's right.
Yeah, Mr. Shack.
Guy with the ras.
Yeah.
Now, I remember, he's the favorite of mine, But I remember when he first came in, I think it was something with police something, brutality or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, he has a kind of chanting kind of
He has
style.
a style.
Good.
Yeah.
And then I remember the next year he had a calypso where he was like abusing other calypsonian for his style, saying, hey, all the time pass with that kind of thing, it's a new kind of version kind of thing, and all they have to give way, to the new styles and that kind of thing. I don't know if you recall. Good. Now, I remember speaking to Mr. Jack one time, just recently here. You remember you said that some Calypsonian came and he was a piece for classic. I think it was 2 minutes followed by a crescendo or something. So that's the classic, 2 minutes followed by a crescendo. That's something that you might find like in a classical piece. But, obviously you wanted to include it into a calypso piece. How much do you all allow a calypsonian to deviate in terms of their musical arrangement when it comes to writing and producing calypsos?
No, I want to stop you right there. You see, Calypsonians, it's no matter what we allow them to do. Calypsonians, and when we talk about structured music and all this, it does not apply in Calypso. I mean, the sky is the limit for what a Calypsonian chooses to do with his work. his or her work. Mr. Shack, right now, when you listen to people talk about him on radio and among Calypso and others, Mr. Shack is a work in progress because I don't know of anybody else in Calypso who has a
With
style.
that style, yeah.
So it is difficult to judge him.
That's the reason why I mentioned him.
Right? Now, on the other hand, the last version of Calypso
Kurt
have
Allen.
his style
Yeah, yes.
that he worked into the psyche of the Calypso fraternity. But who else has a style? He has mastered what he's doing, where the way he does it, it is accepted and it is high up on the scale of acceptance in terms of his style, his delivery, and all these things. Shakon is a little harder.
Because remember too, this is their original work. Right? So it will come under originality. This is their original work. This is their style. As judges, we are not there to criticize their style.
At all.
We are there to understand, analyze, accept their style, and see how it fits in with, the whole structure of Calypso.
Understand?
That's one quick thing.
Of course.
What's the name of the last year monarch who they cut off this year?
Helon Francis.
Helon Francis came with a whole. Now, what he's doing was already there, but the way he does it in his own way, his lyrics stands out, right? Along with topical things that people could relate to.
Yeah.
This is why I say you can't control Calypsonians. And when I heard him the first, I never heard anything about. And I listened to him up in that savannah. I said, this fella has something here and he could be hard to beat for a while if he hold on to that.
But he's one of my favorite Calypsonians.
Helon.
I just love him. He has a nice voice to start with, and he always come with good lyrics, and he has his own style too. You know what I mean? So he's one of my favorite. Now the last question before we close off. You always hear people talking. Is Calypso dying in your view?
No way.
You can hear people talking about Calypso dying and
as
Calypso
long as
this and-
society is around, because Calypso is a lesson in sociology, psychology, anthropology, anything you can find in Calypso. And as a Sniper said, by Calypsos our stories are told. So as long as there is a society, there will be Calypso, because there will always be material for topics.
Just that they get the material easier now, because most of it long ago in the old days, they didn't have radio, a set of radio stations, and there was no social media and all this sort of thing. But you have social media, so topic and content easy to get now.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think there's a very good note for us to end this beautiful and insightful and enlightening.
Oh, and as long
conversation.
as there are creative people.
Oh, yes.
Because I could look up, I can see the sun, and not for hell can I write a Calypso about it. But a creative person will look up and see not just the sun.
A million
they see
things.
a million things about the sun. So that's why I said there will always be material, but you have to have a creative mind as to how do you take that and put it into Calypso.
Yes, well, there's a beautiful note for us to end the program. I just want to thank you, not only icons, national icons, but one question there.
Yeah.
Have you ever received a national award?
No, I have not.
I mean, that is so sad.
Yeah, to me, the same
funny
question.
Of course, I mean, because you all both are
I
deserving of that.
have not received a national
But you have received
award here,
awards from
but
Boston
Many
and
awards.
Boston has
Philadelphia
given me,
and all of that.
yes, yeah, I have been recognized.
Even
out
the
there.
city of Port of Spain recognized you recently. I was there with the presentation and
So
said,
the
well
city of Port of
deserved.
Spain, the City Council of Philadelphia, and the City Council of Boston.
Well, I mean, that is so sad that, that we don't always appreciate our icons and the big contributors to society as we should.
Well, the thing about it here is somebody has to nominate you,
Nominate you and all
and
that.
submit a bio and all of that. So maybe someone out there might
yeah, well,
decide
don't
to
worry.
nominate me.
we from the station here. We from the station here. We're gonna try and do that. At least from here, because you all are deserving of that. All right. So thank you all for coming. I think it was a very enlightening and a very interesting conversation. And thank you all once again for being here.
Thank you so much, Roland. Thank you very, very much for having me. And to the listeners of 91.1 FM, I hope that I brought some sort of joy and some sort of value
And
I am
clarity.
elated here
to your
that
afternoon.
that you actually came, Gemma. I'm so happy that you actually, and did what you did, and I'm not disappointed at all.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
And people just remember, Miss Gemma Gemma Jordan is the woman who's known as the voice of Carnival.
Thank you.
You have a beautiful afternoon, everyone. Until tomorrow, this is Roland Stewart signing off, together with Mr. Sigler, for as long as he wants. Do have a beautiful afternoon again.
At Sagicor, our story was built by people, neighbors helping neighbors, standing side by side with those who trust us to protect what matters most and help build our communities, being there when needed most, across borders, across generations, still growing, still giving, still just getting started.